Swami said to me very sweetly, it's good to make a fool of yourself sometimes. And that little I in me became a little aware. Am I going to? God can have any name. I say Baba because it is through him that I learned how to live with my heart, fully with my heart. And he has given a promise that whoever my eyes are set on, I will transform that person. If you have faith in that, one sentence that he has said, you will change, you will die while you're alive, and you will live with God.
Welcome to Souljourns, a continuing series of interviews with followers of Indian holy man Sri Satya Sai Baba. Seema Dewan is a mystic, an author, and a longtime follower of Sai Baba. Her popular book, Sai Darshan, and others are readily available. This is interview number 3 in a series of interviews, and it was recorded in Seema Dewan's home in Canton, Ohio, October 13th of 2007. Our last interview, Seema, took place in April of the year 2004. That was our second interview. This is our third. In those intervening years, what's some of the greatest new insights you've received from or about Sai Baba?
The greatest insights I've received in the last 3 years. You know, one thing, Ted, the strangest part about my spiritual journey from the last 3 years has been I have looked inward so much that I've stopped looking at who's looking at inward, that I that's looking inward. So for me to actually speak to you and tell you how I grew in the last 3 years is difficult. Someone else that observed me could tell. But all I have realized, all I'm feeling at this present moment from the last couple of years is that I've become a very, very happy person. I just feel very happy, and I have no reason to be happy. I just suddenly feel happy. I suddenly feel, I feel constantly intense love. And I have no reasons for them anymore. So for me to go stepwise to tell you how I grew in the last 3 years will be difficult for me unless you question me regarding my thoughts and see how we grew from my interview from 2004 to now.
I'd like this sort of to be, we've discussed it briefly before I turned the camera on, a template for others to grow from in their own spiritual pursuits. So maybe let's just begin for a brief second. You spent many years, minus Baba, many years in the world of materialism, in the world of loving human beings, parents, families, and friends, but you didn't have, by your own admission in the earlier interviews that we did, a real heartfelt connection to God as you do today. And you're saying right now that you have this love, you have this happiness. I assume that means you have fearlessness, that you don't have too much fear in your life, and yet you're living in a very complex world that a lot of people describe as being a dangerous world. It might be useful to others to learn how they might be able to get to that a similar place one day if they learned from your own lips how you are able to turn your life around.
The most important thing I learned is you go into different stages of loving God. First, you love God as a separate form. You love Him as a teacher, then He becomes your best friend. Once He comes to a stage where He's becoming your best friend, you usually confide in your best friend more than you confide even than in your closer ones, like even than your husband or your mother or your... That's a beautiful stage. That remains a long stage. Your best friend, you speak to him constantly, you can get angry with him, you can love him, you can complain to him. But then comes beyond that stage where you don't want to be with him all the time. It's not being with God, because as you start loving Him so much, you start realizing, who is this I that is loving Him so much? And you start analyzing this I now that is loving God. And you realize that that I that is loving or is being best friends with God is not the real you. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And that I starts dwindling. And that I becomes a smaller I with God. A smaller I with God. A smaller I with God. Because you somehow first characterize God. God is good. God is loving. God is honest. God is that. God. But even those characterizations at a certain stage don't appear right to you, because he becomes he and you become you, and there's no way to get rid of that you if he's he. So that he has to go. For that he to go, that truth that you see in him, that honesty that you see in him, that love that you see in him starts coming in you. That appreciation of that honesty goes to a further stage of actually becoming you. And you start saying, that which appreciates God is not really a God lover. It's that which has to go.
But you are to the outside world, and still to many people trying to make this leap, you are, for example, a woman. You're living in America. You are a loving wife,
You become
a mother.
Yes.
You are a teacher to
I
your
understand.
children. Are you all these labels and then some, or
No.
are you talking about being
You're in
somebody?
that little I dwindles in every little thing. So much so that what you call me being a mother of Kern, Krish and Shiv, those boundaries have broken. I see you as my little child now. I know you're older than me, but I see you as my little boy that has come to speak to me. You start becoming, your love expands so much, and that characterizations of God come so much as a part of you that you do your duties even better than you did before. You become a better mother, you become a better wife, but you're not separated. See, ego is in fear constantly. When you're in fear constantly, Ted, you separate yourself into different ways. I am now Ted's friend, Seema. After Ted leaves, I say, now I'm Sanjeev's wife. Okay, I can be a little more of myself. Now when Sanjeev leaves, oh, good thing he went to office. Now I can be myself. You're worse because you have that I in you. But when that I dwindles, I have that same amount of love as I have for you, as I have for that same inner self, because I'm able to see that same self in you. That I has dwindled. It's not gone. I'm sure it's there. I'm sure he's going to still slap me with that little eye. It's there somewhere rotating. But it's become so small that I'm enjoying not as much as being with him, but being him.
But there are times when you are living that small I where you still have many responsibilities as a mother to your 3 children.
But I love, you know what? You start loving to catch that little light. When you're doing, you see, your job as a mother becomes different. A normal mother will be, I'll protect my child. My child must come first. He should come first in school. Make sure you sit before this child gets this. Your entire thinking changes. You become a teacher to your children. You don't become a mother anymore. In that teacher, somewhere there is a mother who gives him food, shelter, washes their clothes.
But when your children are hurting for whatever reason, how do you then respond?
I laugh when they hurt. I'm kind of a very mean mother, that's why, don't I?
You're going to have to explain this.